Welcome to Choose You Conversations, where we focus on self-care so you can do a better job of doing what God put you on this earth to do. I'm Dr. Rachel Mitchell-Milahi, psychologist, executive coach, and author of the book, Choose You. Welcome to Choose You Conversations. I am Dr. Rachel Mitchell-Milahi, psychologist, executive coach, and author of the book, Choose You. And I am here with Dr. LaToya Williams. She is a licensed therapist, and she is get this y'all, a becoming well expert. I love it. So, this is the perfect combination, right? Self-care and becoming well expert.
Yes.
Welcome to Choose You Conversations. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yes. I am so glad to be here. I really, really am. Yeah.
Wonderful. I am wondering if you can tell me more about what a becoming well expert is.
Absolutely. And so I'll tell you a little bit of how I kind of started my becoming well journey. It really was when my mom got diagnosed with a terminal cancer. And this was in 2018. And at that juncture, making a long story short, the strongest woman that I ever known in my life was now weak and was asking me, her daughter, what am I going to do? And I was like, oh my God, it rocked my world, obviously, right? And at any rate, in praying and fasting and all the things for God to move and heal, I realized that we had been really using a lot of our energy and investment toward hoping for something, but we didn't understand the outcome. We didn't know what was going to happen. But we had been wasting a lot of energy on not living, right? And so it started me on this journey about how do we be well, right? How do we become well, even though we might have an illness or a diagnosis or a disease, or everything's not all together in our worlds. And I found that we can be well despite challenges, despite diagnoses, despite diseases, despite things kind of being in an uproar in our lives. And so I just kind of started this journey about just what does that look like? What does it look like spiritually? What does it look like, naturally? So body as well as soul. And what that looks like, of course, is different for every person. But we all can really develop our wellness plans, if you will, because we can determine, hey, what are the things that are going on in my life and how can I be well every single day of my life, regardless of what I'm faced with? Yeah.
That sounds
and
like
so,
self-care.
Yes, it does, which is why I'm so excited about what we're talking about tonight, because I breathe, I bleed self-care, all the things, because I believe in it. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the changes that have occurred in your life, and I'm going to change my angle. Tell me
Okay.
about some of the changes that have occurred in your life as a result of becoming a becoming well expert.
Yes. Well, again, when I started that journey, my mom was getting sick. And so at that point, and that was 2018, like I said, we went into 2019. My mom passed in 2019. And then 2020, the pandemic happens. And exactly 21, my only child, my son, then goes to college, right? So I was kind of faced with all of these changes and challenges all at once, right? And then in 22, I was separated, right? And then 23, divorced. And so literally every year from 2018, and I'm sure there were changes prior to then, but 2018 kind of started those very, very, very impactful changes in my life. It literally changed what my life looked like, how I moved, how I breathed, right? And so again, as those transitions started to happen, it was very, very unsettling, and there was so much uncertainty with all of those things. And one of the things that I say that I absolutely need is I need consistency, and I need a plan, and I need something that keeps me on track, right? And my life and my circumstances were not giving me that at all. And I said, I'm like, I can't live a life that's all over the place. I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to survive the next thing, the next year. And so I really started working on those self-care, right? Those actions, those activities, those motions, whatever it was, because I needed something to ground me when I felt like I wasn't grounded, right?
Sure.
I needed something to kind of be very much a fortress for me as all of these darts and all of these things were coming at me. And so I realized that when I could not control any of the things that were happening around me, I could control me, right?
The one thing,
And
the only thing.
the only thing that is within my control, right? And so I started, kind of asking myself, hey, what do you need? What do you need right now? What do you need? Yeah, yeah,
That
that
is
thing,
so
right?
critical. I just,
Hmm.
who was I talking to? I feel like I just wrote something or said something to
Hmm.
someone in the last few days, and I said, take inventory.
Hmm.
When you're laying in bed in the morning or at night,
Yes,
just talk to
yes,
yourself and say,
yeah.
and just check in. Check in with
Hmm.
you. We check in with
Hmm.
everybody. Girl, how you doing? I haven't heard from you. How you doing? You doing okay?
Everybody
Hey,
else,
how's it?
yes.
And when do we check in with ourselves?
Yep.
And so I said, ask,
Hmm.
hey head, how you feeling?
Yes, yes,
Hey heart,
absolutely.
how's it going? Do you need
Hmm.
anything?
Hmm.
Stomach,
Yep,
how are you feeling? Just
absolutely.
because we go, right? We go,
Hmm.
we go, we go,
Yeah.
and we just ignore because we think I'll just get back to me. If we even think that, I don't
No,
know
you
that I
talking
even think
right.
that, you know.
Yeah.
And so to check in with ourselves is critical, and I think it's probably, I wouldn't even say it's the last thing on the list. I don't even think it often makes the list. And so we get to be intentional about changing that. So I'm so excited about what you said.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to getting into that a little bit more because like you said, we don't ask, and then we don't know. So guess what? We don't know really what to do, right? It's like walking around with, a cold and we have the flu and we're not paying attention to the symptoms. We just keep going because we just want to function. And sometimes that's it. It's like
And we don't have a
we find
baseline.
we
When you
don't
do
have a
that, we don't have a
baseline
baseline. We don't know what's going on.
at all. And so, like you said, it literally is simple by asking head, how are you doing? Heart, how are you doing? Spirit, body, stomach, foot, whatever. How are you doing? So then I can know what I need to give myself today. And then I got to do it tomorrow, right? Because tomorrow I might need to give myself something totally different than I did yesterday, you
Absolutely.
know? Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Um
Hmm.
there's a workout. I love Apple Fitness.
Ah, hmm.
I love Apple Fitness. And so there's a treadmill workout that I do. And this one particular guy, Scott, that I'm watching him while I'm doing my
Hmm.
thing, he always says, yesterday's legs are not today's legs. So
Mm,
check in with how you're feeling. Maybe you could do this workout yesterday and you felt fine, but today maybe you need a slower pace, or maybe you need to pick it up a
yes.
notch. And
Yes.
I'm always looking for life lessons. I always hear and catch
Hmm.
life lessons in the other things. And
Yeah.
that struck me.
Yeah.
Today's legs are not yesterday's legs. So just
Yep.
what you said, what your heart needs today may not have been
Hmm.
what it needed yesterday, and it may look
Hmm.
different tomorrow, and that's okay.
That's okay. That is okay. That part, right?
Yes,
Oh,
yes. Let me
whew,
ask you
I
this:
love that.
what
Hmm.
is your, and I don't really like to talk in superlatives because it's hard for me to say I have a favorite. Like, I like all the things.
Me too. Exactly. But
So
okay. Hmm.
tell me some of your favorite self care. Some of the ways you spoil yourself with self care.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, so, and this is probably a funny one, but I always say that I have a very special relationship with this one thing, right? Like we almost have like a love affair going on, and that is napping. Okay. So I love naps. And one of the ways that I care for myself is I really do schedule. Like, even when I'm seeing clients, I schedule some of my days so that I can get a nap if I want one, or I can choose to do what I need to. But make me feel loved. They make me feel comforted. It makes me feel like, oh my goodness, somebody is taking care of me, right? And so napping is one of the things that I absolutely kind of incorporate. And I used to feel bad about it, right? But I incorporate into my weekly routine, like in a couple of times a week. So that's one of my favorite
I
ways.
love it.
Yes, yes. Another thing too that I love is I do clean eating, and sometimes I'm off the bandwagon a little bit. Most times I'm on. But one of the things I love in the clean eating is different kinds of smoothies too, right? And
Mm.
while that sometimes is a regular part of my day, my really special feel good smoothies are not, right? So every now and again, because again, it's another one of those things that makes me feel good on the inside, right? Like
Yes.
it just gives me so much joy. And so I kind
It's
of
all
treat
the
myself
parts.
to it does. So I treat myself to that. And here's the thing that I found that when I'm drinking it, when I'm consuming it, I make sure that I am noting that, hey, I am caring for you. I am saying that I love you. I am saying that you are valuable. I am saying to myself, right? Every sip, all the things. Sometimes I'll take a walk while I'm doing it. But those are like some really, really simple
I
things
love
that
it.
I do. Yeah.
I
Just to
love it.
love me.
I started this thing a few years ago. I don't know exactly when, but Friday evenings became
Hmm.
my self care time. And my
Hmm.
children were made aware of that. Mommy, can we go
Yes.
here or can we go there tomorrow? Tomorrow. Because
Tomorrow.
today, and my
Today.
Friday might look like coming home from work and showering and
Hmm.
and getting in the bed with maybe a book or
Hmm.
popcorn or a glass of wine or all
Hmm.
the above. And it's just
Yeah.
my Friday nights are typically
I love it.
just me. Just me. And I remember telling
Yes.
my mother one time, Mommy, I don't know what the kids are gonna eat for dinner tonight. And she said, I said, I'm having popcorn. She said, give them popcorn and a vitamin. They'll be all right.
They'll be all right, you
They're
know?
gonna be okay. But
They're
what
gonna
I
be
loved about that, and even though that is absolutely hilarious, and
yeah.
of course she was joking, she's a
Right, right.
dietitian,
I
so
know,
she's
right? For
joking.
everybody listening.
But part of
Right.
that with that self care thing is that
Hmm.
sometimes we worry too much about things
Yep.
that are really okay. I didn't have any
Okay.
little babies. Everybody in this house was capable of feeding themselves.
Feeding themselves. Absolutely.
And
Yes.
listen, ain't nobody starved from missing one meal. one, one.
Nobody.
You
Okay?
gonna be all right.
Nobody.
So part of self
Yes.
care is
Hmm.
recognizing that again, like we said, you get to take
Hmm.
care of yourself
You
as
do.
well as, and maybe even better, than we take
Hmm.
care of the people around us.
Yes, yes. I had someone, and I cannot remember who said this to me, but they were talking about PTO, right? When we take time off of work, right? And they applied PTO to caring for yourself, putting yourself first, all the things. And what it stands for is prepare the others, right? And so it's okay when, again, you want your Friday nights, all the things, and you prepare the others by saying, hey, this is my time. This is what I'm going to be doing. As the old people would say, don't ask for nothing, don't look like you want nothing, don't none of the things, right? But I realize that as we teach, especially our children, right, as we teach them, hey, I'm going to have some time for me, what we're really doing, we feel like, especially as moms, that we have that mom guilt, and we feel like, oh my God, I'm not there, I'm not doing. But I realize I'm teaching my son that it's okay to care for himself, right? Because I'm caring for myself. And it doesn't mean I don't love him. It doesn't mean I don't care about him, but it means I'm carving out in just a little bit of time, right? I'm carving out a little bit of time where I am personally taking interest in me to make me better, which of course is going to make them better. It's going to make me a better mom, a better in whatever role that I'm in. And so the things that we feel guilty about, really, we really are empowering them to see differently, to see themselves, to value themselves differently, as well as others. And so I know that that's something hard, especially for moms that might be listening, but it's so important that you teach. It's so important that you go hang out with your friends, because you teach your children that, hey, there's time for friends, there's family time, there's you time, there's time for God. Like, we're teaching them a holistic way to live a healthy and a well life. Yeah.
Because imagine the converse that you're taking time for yourself. You're taking a nap or you're reading a book, and then every time the phone rings or every time the kid needs something or every time the neighbor needs something, you're hopping up, right? You're
Yep.
hopping up. And your child then sees that you're never
Sees you
taking
doing
time for self,
that.
that you're always, that when
Exactly.
duty calls, you're running.
Yep.
No,
And that is not sustainable. Like I tell, that is not sustainable. Okay.
at
I
all.
can't keep up that.
At
Yeah.
all. My mother teased me once years ago. I was headed to um, Costa Rica for my
Okay.
girlfriend's 40th birthday. It was an all
Hmm.
girls trip. And it happened to fall on the first day of school.
Come on. I've missed several
And
first days of
and
school.
my
Okay.
mother said, my mother said, "Are you going to Costa Rica? Isn't it the kids' first day of school?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Rachel, I never would have missed y'all first day of school going on a trip." I said, "But you wish you had have." She said, "I sure
Right.
did." I sure
Yes.
did. And she said, "Have a good time, baby. Have a wonderful time." You know?
Yes.
So, and that's
Yes.
the other thing about self care when you have people who support you, whether it's
Support.
family or friends, and
Yes.
even it means the world to have older women who can
Hmm.
say, "Baby, don't do what I did." Because there's
Yes.
a whole thing
Yes.
about generational changes. So when they say,
Absolutely.
"Don't do what I did," I really got to
Absolutely.
go ahead. Well, I was doing it anyway,
Yes.
but
Anyway,
to
right.
know
But
that I had to show a support, from my mom
yes.
that,
Yeah.
baby, do your thing.
Absolutely. And I think again, so important that there are other people because I do believe that self-care, it's in some ways defined like you must take personal interest in yourself, right? And we do it for so many other things. We do it with our children, we do it with work, we do it with spouses, we do it with family, older parents, like we do it in so many areas. But we
Hmm.
also need to take personal interest, right, in
Yes.
ourselves. But having a support network that believes in you as well, right, and can
Yeah.
support that personal interest and can say to you in whatever way they support, whether it's a word of encouragement, like, girl, go ahead, or whether it's babysitting, or whether it's, on soccer duty or Uber duty, whatever it is, but that they see also like the necessity and as a village, right, a tribe, then we are ensured to that nothing really is going to go missing, right? Nothing is going to be without.
Oh,
Yeah.
all of that. All of that.
Hmm.
Um, I have questions here. I have questions.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yes, I
What else
love
do I want to say
questions.
about self care? um, let's see. We kind of talked about a lot of this.
Hmm.
So here's an important thing about self care and boundaries.
Okay. Mm.
Often, and we as women, we got it bad. Being able to tell other people no can be a real challenge.
Hmm.
How are some of the ways you manage telling people no, protecting your boundaries, and maybe or maybe
Mm.
not preserving relationships?
Ooh, girl. So, let me first say, my name is LaToya, and I am a people pleaser, right? But I'm reformed, right? Okay, but I am, okay? I must admit, um, but a lot of my life,
It
even
comes
growing
up.
up,
It pops
it,
up for me from time to time.
oh,
I backslide.
absolutely. Right, exactly. But with that being said, I really, really had to be intentional about just kind of boundaries and what those boundaries were. And for me, it was almost as if it was that like flat on my back, I really have nothing else to give that caused me to change, right?
Mm.
And I hate that it had to get to that point, and so I preach it all the time. Now I can say no very, very easy. Now there's still some scenarios where I really struggle, but a lot of areas, no, I can't do that. And no apologies, right? But it took me kind of hitting my head up against the wall, being depleted, realizing that I had nothing else to give, realizing that I was miserable, I was getting sick, all the things where I realized I have to put some boundaries in place like never before. And so, with that being said, I kind of got to this place where I had to ask myself some questions like, you know what, one, and here's what I use, like my dad used to quote this all the time, the Serenity Prayer, right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, right? The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Difference.
And I had to come to Jesus with understanding there's some things I cannot control, right? So another admission, my name is LaToya, and I am a control freak, okay? Like, okay, I have to
You
admit that
you
too.
belong
Like,
to a few groups, right?
listen,
You
a
got a
lot
few
of them,
12-step groups.
quite a few. Right. And so all of that for me was challenging, and it just got me to the place, and it was a really a God place, but it got me to the place where I had to make some decisions, and I had to kind of start thinking about, you know what do I need to say yes to, and what do need to say no to? Because at this juncture, there's only so much capacity that I have, right? And so I asked myself a lot of questions, and I had to practice, and I use this with clients sometimes. I had to start practicing what I would say and how I would say no, right?
Yes.
Literally, I had to role play, right? Like, okay, all right, here we go. I'm going to say this, then they're probably going to say that. Then what am I going to say back, right? Like, I really had to role play because I didn't know how to do it. I did not know how to just say no. And so I did a lot of practicing to where it was comfortable for me, and I didn't feel like I was being mean or rude or inconsiderate. And what I realized is that people were really okay, right? Like, they figured it out, or they got someone else to do it, or they did something different, or they did it themselves. Like, it really, whatever that was, got resolved. And at that point, I realized, oh, I'm not God. Oh, okay. People really, as much as I can be a help, I'm not necessarily one of those absolutes that if I don't do it, then the whole world is going to fall apart, right? So I had to practice. And then I learned that, hey, everything really will be okay. And so I started practicing that. And now I do a lot of just kind of checking in with myself, just kind of how you said, periodically. So whether it's on a weekly basis, monthly basis, like, what do my boundaries need to look like today and need to look like this week, this season of my life? What does that need to look like? And how do I prepare the others that are close to me in my life? How do I prepare them to say, hey, not going to be able to show up how I have been because this, or, just putting those things in place in a way that's not reactive, but it is responsive to where I am and what I need.
I
Does that
love
make
that.
sense? Yeah.
Not reactive, but responsive.
Yeah.
I gotta write that down because that's you done hit some wisdom there.
Woo. Mm-hmm.
um, man, that's so powerful. I love what you said about practicing. Practicing the no. I was doing a workshop years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the attendees said that she had attended a workshop where they
Okay.
spent, well, I'm gonna let you guess how long. They spent time practicing with a partner saying no. Now, how long do you think that they spent with that
Oh,
exercise?
wow. Let's say, I don't know, 30 minutes?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. A day.
Oh, a
A
whole
day. A
day.
whole day. So
I
imagine,
love it.
right? It was so, that means it's so deep. It's so ingrained to
Yeah.
spend a
Hmm.
whole day. I would love to have known what that really looked like in real time. But she said it
Yes.
was one of the most powerful experiences of her
Wow.
life.
Wow.
And if we have to practice that for at least a day, extracting and cleansing and cleaning, and
Yes. And all the things.
it
Yeah.
tells you what a potential disease. I don't know if
Hmm.
I want to use that word, but it's definitely infiltrated the system and caused disruption and
Absolutely.
stops the normal
Absolutely.
healthy flow of things. I think it can be a disease.
Absolutely. Absolutely so, for sure. And like you said, the fact that they had to spend that much time on, and I think about all the things that have to go into that for us. It's not just the words, but it's also, working up the courage to do that, right? It's also working through those negative thoughts that we're contending with, those core beliefs that, having to literally, and like you said, that lends itself to being a disease that really has disrupted our wellness, our well-being. Oh,
Yes.
wow. I
Yes.
love that.
And I
I
remember
love that.
seeing, I think when I started becoming more comfortable with no, with the word no. And I remember this experience. I was talking to a friend, and and I don't remember, it must have been someone else around because she wasn't telling me no. Someone asked a question and she said no. And I was waiting for her to explain to the other person why she said no. And she sort of just lifted her head a fraction. And I said, oh, wait a minute. That's it. And the respect and the awe that I
Yes.
had for seeing this and witnessing, and it did all the things for me. I was like,
Yes.
wow, because surely you're going to
Wow.
explain in three,
Right.
two,
Three,
one.
two.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And we
Nothing.
later talked about it years later. And I said, you really
Wow.
impacted me when you did that in a really
Yeah.
good way because I realized in that moment when I saw you
Yeah.
not explain that I don't have to explain. And
I
she
don't have
said,
to
what you
explain.
said and what I've gone through as well, she said it took me a long time to get there.
Yes. Wow.
So it may look easy on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
gets better with practice, but we get to this point, and people who
Mm-hmm.
do this get to this point out of necessity many times, out of
Yes. Yes.
an um, aggressive appreciation
Yeah.
for self.
For self. Yes. And it is very unfortunate that, like you said, we get to that space at a really late time in life, right? Sometimes we're older. Sometimes we've been through so many challenges or traumatic situations before we get to that space of, wait, how do I preserve what I do have, the gift that I am, right? The
Mm-hmm,
person that I am,
mm-hmm.
and yes, I could get on, I could
And
hop on the
preserve
soapbox.
relationships,
Mhm.
because that's a
Relationships,
real
yes.
thing. I was speaking
Mm-hmm.
to a friend on another in another conversation, and we were talking about her wanting to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, our friendship, if it would be
Mm-hmm.
rocked, if 30 plus years of
Mm-hmm.
friendship would be fractured because you said no, then we didn't have a friendship.
We didn't have a friendship. Absolutely, right?
So say
Absolutely.
no, sis. Say
Say,
no. I
say
want that for you
no.
because I love you. I'm going to
Yes.
be all right.
I, I'm gonna be all right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And wouldn't that be, I love that because you gave her, not that she needed your permission, but in that relationship, you gave her permission to be herself, not to have to be something else, not to have to drum up energy or drum up resources or whatever, to do or to be something that she really didn't have the capacity to be in that moment, right? Or to do.
Absolutely.
And wouldn't it be wonderful if we gave the people that we love permission, permission to do
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah.
what
Mm-hmm.
how how wonderful. And I always tell people, you know, other people are watching us. People are watching
Mm-hmm.
you. People are watching me. Um,
Yeah.
and you just never know. My girlfriend didn't know in that moment when she told somebody else no, the impact it would have on my life.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
living, it's so powerful to know that when you're living authentically in your truth, trying to get it right, not being perfect,
Yep.
but being perfect for yourself every day in your
Mm-hmm.
own, with your own perfectly imperfect every
Imperfect.
day
Yes.
while you're working your thing out, that
Yep.
gives other people, I'm not doing it for anybody else, but to
Yeah.
know that other people can gain inspiration from you
Mm-hmm.
being true and authentic to yourself.
Yeah. Yes. 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 And I think we're in that era where we're finding, I know that I'm inspired by people who are doing that, and I've gotten feedback and heard people tell me, "Oh my God, I'm so inspired because you are, choosing you, right?" And thank you for introducing choosing you to me many years ago. I mean, I don't know, what is that, 10, 11? I don't know how many years ago that was. Yeah.
It's been something
Um,
like that.
yes, but
But
just
like
again,
minds, like minds. So you're welcome.
yes,
But we
yes,
feed off each
yes.
other.
Absolutely. I'm grateful to be, a catalyst of encouragement and inspiration, but I'm also grateful that I get to see women especially, right, in so many walks of life doing that and being able to choose themselves, being able to say, you know what, I need to put this boundary up, and especially in our culture as Black women, and not be the angry Black woman, or not be the one that's, so stuck in her ways, or so, self-serving, right, that we just cannot, we can't be ourselves. We can't say no. We can't say, hey, I don't have it. I wish I could. It's like we always have to be perfect. We always have to be on top of it. We always have to be on top of our game. We always have to be on, and it's like, that is, again, that is not sustainable. That is not sustainable,
And it's no
So,
fun.
yeah,
I
it's
want the second half of
not
my life. I need a little more or a lot more fun in my life.
a
And I
lot more. Yes, yes, a
and
lot
here's
more.
the thing. Here's the thing, Dr. LaToya. Nobody's just gonna give it to you.
Nope.
You gotta get
Mm-mm.
it. Like if they
Mm-hmm.
do, that's cool. Like I love people
Mm-hmm.
looking out for me. But it's not their primary responsibility
It's
because
not. It's not
their
their
primary
responsibility.
responsibility is looking after themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's another point to that. And we have taught people for so many years what to expect from us. So we've taught them that we'll always answer, we'll always be there, we'll always do it because we thought we had to. And so they don't know what else to expect from us. They don't know how to expect us resting and saying no, right? And so we have to,
What's
as we're
wrong with her?
learning,
She
right?
changed. She funny acting now.
Girl, all the things, all the things. And so as we're learning, we also are getting the opportunity to teach other people that, you know what? No, she does need rest. So I love that. I love that, that duo, that dance between those things. We're learning, but we're also teaching others about ourselves and even about their own selves. So yeah.
hmm hmm
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah. I see the correlation, the twinship really between
Mm-hmm.
self-care and clean living. You talked about clean eating and clean
Yes.
because when we are doing when we're practicing self-care
Mm-hmm.
and we're not as weighted down by all the things,
Mm-hmm.
we're better able to do the things that God put us here to do unencumbered.
Yes. 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 With ease. Yes. And I look at that, and then here's another, I guess I'll say revelation, realization that I've come to about myself, right? Like, I see myself as a gift, and I'm not saying that arrogantly, but that, God breathed into me, right? Like, this person, and he put me in this earth for a reason, for a
And you're the
purpose.
only
You know,
one. Sound like a
I'm
gift
the
to me.
only, you know, right? I'm the gift. And I think about that parable of the talents. He gave one and one five, and then the one with the one, he
Yeah.
buried it and was like, no, I was just, I'm trying to hold on to it, and he's like, what? Why didn't you put it to the exchanges? Why didn't you use that gift, right? Why didn't you take care of it so it could flourish in the earth? And I think about that, and I'm like, how much of a gift would I really be if I'm broke down, if I'm tired, if I'm exhausted, if I'm fatigued, if I'm overworked, if I'm depressed, if I'm all of these things, right? Not taking care of my body, not taking care of my soul, not taking care of my spirit. Like, what? I don't want to be that kind of God gift in the earth. Like, I want God to get all that he invested in me. I want him to get all of that out, right? And so then I have to be very intentional about taking care of the gift so that the gift is always presentable as it can be, right? So not
Yes.
only do I have
Oh,
to eat right, do I have to work on my exercise, I got to make sure my mind right, I got to go to therapy, right? I got to do the work, I got to be in my word, I got to do affirmation. Like I have to do all of those things. And how can I do that if I don't take a
and
personal
I'm gonna nudge
interest?
you a little bit.
Hmm.
I'm gonna nudge you a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not
Yes.
even that you have to do those things. It's that you get to do those things.
Get. Yes.
You
Yes.
get to do those
Yes.
things.
We have the opportunity to. I love that. I absolutely love that. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's
I
it's
talk
it's us
about,
in control. It's an honor. It's a privilege, and we get to
yes,
do it. It's not an
we get to do
obligation.
it. It's not. Because here's the thing, we don't feel obligatory when it comes to our children, like to run them all around, to do the things that we do
Well,
and to
sometimes.
You're right. Thank you for correcting me on that. I had to tell my son one time, I don't know, taking him somewhere. I said, "Do you think I want to do this?" And forgive me for all the parenting experts out there. I'm sorry. But I was like, "Do you think I want to be up right now taking you somewhere?" Right? I don't. But guess what? I'm doing it because I love you and I have a personal interest in your life, right? How much more
Absolutely.
when we do that with ourselves, right? Yeah, absolutely. Hmm.
I love
I
that. I tell
love
my,
that.
it's for y'all, right? It's for y'all. And everybody wants something.
Everybody, and one of you, right? One of you and four of them. I'm telling you, I know. Lord help us. Ah, yes.
Absolutely. I love it. This is so
Yes.
exciting to me. What else am I
Hmm.
curious about? I don't know.
Hmm.
I guess probably my last question
Okay.
is, what do you say to the woman who says, Dr. Rachel, Dr. LaToya, I hear you, girl. Sound like y'all got it worked out, but you don't know the life I live.
Mm.
I'm stressed at work. I'm stressed at home.
Hmm.
My parents need me. My kids need me. My
Hmm.
husband needs me. My boyfriend, my boss need me. I
Hmm.
hear you, but I just the church needs me.
Right.
Listen, one
Everybody
day,
need it.
but I just can't. If I don't, it just it's gonna be worse if I don't do it because
Yeah.
nobody's gonna do it right. All the balls will fall. I
Hmm.
don't know. I hear you, but that ain't my life.
Hmm.
I
Mm.
don't know.
Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. I know, girl. Because listen, I used to say the same thing. I can't. All of these things and these people need me, right? And my first question to you would be, who told you that? Who told you that narrative in that way? Who told you that the world was going to fall apart if you did not
That's good.
do
Oh, that's
that or go
good.
there, right? Because I think we are living based on a narrative that honestly we can't say that anybody of any importance or any reliability told us. God didn't tell us that. Okay. You know,
I think it's
he
smoke
didn't. He
coming off
didn't.
my computer, girl, because you'd have lit this thing up.
And so we have this like form of a narrative that we have created oftentimes, and we have said that if I don't show up for my children in this way, then I'm going to disappoint them, or it's not going to get done, or if I don't show up for my spouse or my boyfriend or work or in some way, right? Here's the thing that I say about work, especially for those that work for people. um Here's the reality is that if you were to die, God forbid, but if you were to die, right, they would mourn. They absolutely would. But most companies, within a week, they're gonna have your position filled. Okay,
Oh,
they're gonna
we,
have it
girl.
filled.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
permanently filled because somebody else is going to be doing it in 2 days.
And okay, and I had to realize that for myself, that you know what, they can't give me my health back if it gets taken away from me, right? I can't be a great mom, the one that I would love to be, if I don't get rest and if I don't take time for myself. I couldn't be a great spouse then, right? I can't be a great friend. I can't be a great daughter to take care of parents, right? If I'm not taking care of myself. I am the CPU, the central processing unit of what goes on in me and even the things that I touch. And so, guess what? I got to take care of you. So, what I would say is check your narrative. Who told you that? And
I
how
love
can
that.
you now rewrite the narrative to your story, right? And I think that's what we must begin to do and understand that we get the opportunity to do that.
Yes.
I got the opportunity to do parenting differently. When I was stressed because my son wouldn't iron his clothes and I was stressing out, well, give it here. I'm going to iron it anyway. And I'm mad and I'm fussing and all the things, right? All the things until I let him go to school with a wrinkled shirt and wrinkled shorts. Okay. And guess what? He didn't die. Okay. He wasn't sick. The kids didn't talk about him because they clothes is wrinkled too. Like the things that we think are going to blow up. And I was like, you know what? You're not going to stress me out. I'm not going to be stressed out. Worried about your wrinkled shirt, right? No. So I had to rewrite my narrative because what I told myself is, oh my God, he's going to go to school and people are going to think I'm a bad mom, right? And that's a whole nother soapbox to get on. All these things are going to happen. And I had to say, you know what? I'm going to
I
pull
do
out.
that
I'm going to
regularly.
say, mm-hmm,
You gonna wear that
mm-hmm.
to school?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Won't you
You
go
know
brush
what?
your hair again? Won't you go brush your hair
Yep.
again?
Mm,
No,
yep.
it's good. You like it that way? Okay.
You like it that way? Oh, okay. Yep. Hmm. But you know what? We have to again and that's the art of letting go, right? Letting go of those things that we can't and we don't need to necessarily try to control, right? It's like letting go of, you know what? I can't control and here's what I thought about. I was like, because one day you're gonna be on your own. And if I iron your shirt all the time for you now, you ain't gonna know how to iron it when you're at college or you're not gonna know. So you're gonna have to learn, right? Some of these things that I feel like I have to do for you. So guess what? I'm gonna start letting you learn those now, right? And so
Absolutely.
he learned when the girls start taking notice. Now you taking a shower every day. Okay, now you smelling good every single day. Now you brushing your hair every day. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it, right? Look,
I
it
love
all
it.
works out
And
in
what
the end. It all works out.
it does. It does. They're gonna figure it out. And
They're gonna figure it out.
I tell parents often that we have as much um, control and responsibility for the choices that our children make as our parents did over us.
Oh, mm, mm, mm.
Like,
Honey
remember how
child.
autonomous you
Yes.
thought you were as a teenager, that you knew
Oh
you
yeah.
were? And
You
so our parents
yes.
could be
Knew.
talking, saying all the things, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Okay, I hear you. If some of it landed.
And some of it didn't. Okay. Yep.
So I'm real clear that my job is to guide, to love,
To God.
provide
Yes.
boundaries, uh,
Yes.
all the things,
Hmm.
but not control.
Not control. Not control.
And
Oh,
that
that's so
my
good. Yes.
children are walking on their own divine path.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's sort of a joke, but not really. Like, I jokingly say this, I'm serious when I say it to God, but I'm usually
Hmm.
frustrated when I say it to Him. It's like,
Hmm.
you know what, God, these are your children. You made them, you designed them, you know all the ins and outs
Hmm.
and nooks and crannies. So I would let you handle that. And I just imagine that He's just like, thanks, Rachel. That's what I'm
Right.
doing. And it's a reminder to
Exactly.
myself, back up, sis,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
you're getting worked
Hmm.
up over things that are outside of your control.
Outside of your control. Ooh.
So I
Mm,
pray
mm,
God's
mm.
covering over them, and I
Yes.
keep
Yes.
it moving, because to do more than that gets me all worked up in a way that doesn't feel good, gets me
It
focused on the wrong
doesn't.
thing, doesn't allow me
Hmm.
to lock in on what I need to or want to lock in on.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've taught them
Absolutely.
right. I keep teaching them right. They are
Yes.
taken care of, and they are in God's keeping care. And I just
Absolutely.
get to go on. You said something earlier when you talked about, oh, I love when you said that. Who told you that? Where did that narrative come from? The image I got was of that game they play sometimes as kids. The teachers would be teaching you a
Hmm.
lesson about gossip, right, and how the
Hmm.
story
Oh,
changed over
yes.
time, right? You
Yes.
so you
Yep.
whisper something in one person's ear, and then you whisper,
Yep.
and and so it's not even. So sometimes it's it's who told you that, but that thing has gotten changed. It has so
It's
many
gotten changed.
iterations that it's gotten
Yes.
so
Yes.
distorted,
Yes.
and we're left
Hmm.
with this distort. Well, somebody said, I heard, I thought.
Hmm. I thought, right. Yes.
I mean, how many times
Hmm.
talking about kids? How many times have you heard that from your son? I thought you said
I and you're like, what?
that ain't even
Yeah.
come out my mouth. I've taken a text to my kids, so there's no confusion. I told
Right.
you this, and documentation. Let me text it so you can't say you didn't remember. You
Yes.
thought you don't have to
Yes.
think, baby. You
Yes.
can read. Praise God for literacy. There you go. It's right there.
Yes, there you go. There you go. There you go. And that's so good because I think that's key, especially for those who are spiritual and have their religion or their spirituality to ground them, right? Is that sometimes we do have to write down those things like, what did God say about me, right? What did God say that I need? Like, we have to have that written somewhere. And I tell people, in this generation, you want to put in your phone, that's fine, but pen to paper is always amazing, right? But writing that down so that in very uncertain and cloudy and chaotic times that we can go back to remind ourselves, wait, let me recalibrate myself. Let me remember what's my lane and what's not my lane, right? Let me remember what's in my
Absolutely.
control and what's not. And that's so good. I love that. Yes. So definitely, sisters, write down what is needful, what you need, what God said, what you know is necessary in this season to take care of you so that when it gets cloudy and it gets confusing and you're not sure what you need to do or where that hey, I can look at these things, right? Until they become very, very much autonomic, right? And now we're just
Yes.
self-caring all over, right? We just self-caring,
Yes.
honey, and I love it, right? And we're so much better.
Yes.
So yeah. Mm,
I love that. I would add to that. I mean, or just underline really what you said
mm-hmm.
in terms of even. I listen. I Google everything, and probably everybody listening does too. So when you don't
Yes.
know, when you're trying to figure it out,
Yes.
listen. I go to Google. You don't have to be a Bible expert. Google.
Mm-mm.
What are some scriptures
What is
about anxiety? What are some scriptures about
Yes.
depression?
Yes.
Or now
Yes.
AI, Chat GPT.
Absolutely.
you know, I'm not feeling myself. What scriptures would you recommend? Chat GPT in 3 seconds will have a list. So,
Absolutely.
you get to just, you get to look for the answer, and you get to hold on to it. You get to put it somewhere. You write. I'm with you. I'm a firm believer of writing it down. There's a whole
Hmm.
neurological process that goes on when we write
Yes, that
things down. It
happened.
it
Yes.
really,
Yes.
unscientifically, I'll say it makes it stick better. But
Absolutely.
what is, absolutely going to find to sources, and I'll go even in addition to the Bible. I'll say, let me hear something inspirational about worry.
Yes.
It'll
Mm-hmm.
take me to this word or that word or a poem or other things that just undergird me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need.
Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree. Yes. Yes,
Dr.
yes.
LaToya, I have so enjoyed. We don't do this enough.
I
It's
know
probably
we
been,
don't.
it's been years since we did our last interview in my office.
It,
Remember our
I
last conversation?
know. I
And
know. I
so
know. Yes.
I so love talking to you, and I'm so grateful for you being a part of the Choose You conversation. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for having me. This has been phenomenal, and especially just being able to talk about something that is so near and dear to me and necessary for all of us for that matter. And I'm just hoping that people will take away from this that, hey, it's okay to give yourself permission to have a personal interest in yourself and care for you. And again, check that narrative to see, hey, who told me this and how has it changed over time? And then really start to do things, right? Put yourself on the to-do list for the day, right? Like you have all these things to do at work or with your children or with your family, spouses, significant others, whatever, community, church, right?
True.
But how about we just start adding ourselves to that list, right? Like I literally started doing that on my to-do list, like take a nap or, take 5 to 10 minutes to breathe today, right? To just sit and be with yourself, right? And so just start with like just writing one thing down on your list of things to do that really has to do with how you can care for and love and take a personal interest in yourself. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'd add to that
Mm-hmm.
to protect it. Because what I used to do, I
Oh,
would put myself
yes.
on the
Yes.
calendar. And then the
Mm-hmm.
first time something came up and we can't find a time, I would sacrifice my
Isn't
time.
that something?
Well, I can move this. Well, I could, and I would diminish my importance.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
I would move it out the way. And you get to
Yeah.
protect that. And just like you said, you practice saying no. I
Mm-hmm.
started practicing what could potentially get in the way.
Mm.
Rachel, you always let yourself down because you don't protect and respect this time that you set aside. So what are you
Yes.
going to do? What's going
Yes.
to happen? There are certain, of course, if there's an emergency, right? Yeah, my
Right.
time goes on the
Absolutely.
back burner because this is emergency.
Mm-hmm.
But short of emergency, sis.
Mm-hmm.
So what can happen?
It's
Okay, plan
protected.
for
Yeah.
this, plan for that. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
imagine this. What if you didn't even
Mm-hmm.
answer your phone?
What if, right?
What if you put that bad boy on do not disturb? Girl.
What if?
And
I
and I
know
like
these
to
like,
let people know. Right. And
yeah.
and and we it takes practice. Just like
Yeah,
going to
it
the
does.
gym, you're not as strong on
Mm-hmm.
day 1 as you're going to be on day 21. And
Mm-hmm.
so if it's a
Absolutely.
struggle to have
Yeah.
your time for yourself for 10 or 15 minutes, you'll get there.
Yeah.
You're building that muscle. You're building that
Yep.
self-care muscle. You'll get there. And then pretty soon the
Mm-hmm.
time will go so fast. And that's okay.
Yes.
The important
Yes.
thing is that we
Absolutely.
start and that we
We
have
start. Yep.
I, I think the second most important thing is that we have grace. We have
Mm-hmm.
grace with ourselves, that we are just
Mm-hmm.
loving and
Mm-hmm.
forgiving of ourselves.
Yes.
I didn't get it
Yes.
right today. That's all right, girl. I got you. I
That's
love
okay.
you. Let's go.
Yes.
We're going to do it
Yep.
tomorrow, but we're
Yep.
going to do it,
We're
right?
gonna do
We're
it
going to
tomorrow.
do it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't do
Yep.
too
I
much
love that.
finger waving, too much head shaking and hands on the hips. I do
Yes.
toward myself.
Mm-hmm. For
And
self.
so,
Absolutely. Same.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so to just have grace and love on me and laugh at myself, like, girl, you had that all on your calendar. What happened? Okay, we got it tomorrow. Yep, we do. These are
Yep.
conversations
We gon'
and
we gonna
I
try
feel
again.
better when I
Yep.
do that. I feel better when I talk
Absolutely.
to myself that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get going for a second round, so we're not. We stop it right here. I
I
love you.
know. I know.
Thank you.
I love you. Absolutely. This has been so phenomenal. Thank you for inviting me to the Choose You conversation. This has been amazing. And I look forward to round two, whatever that is, right?
Absolutely. No, it'll be round 3. It'll be round 3.
Round three. Oh, right. Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Bye
Yes.
bye.
Yes. Yes.